is up, everyone? Welcome back to another Dragon Ball Super card game video. My name is D-Free, and for this video, we're going to go ahead and show off the Super Saiyan 3 APE deck that I did use at my locals this week. So, I'm kind of disappointed. What happened for me was I wound up getting third place simply because there was two other people that got undefeated, and unfortunately, well, props to them, right? But unfortunately for me, I wound up getting a tie because we played best of three. I wound up getting a tie and 2 wins. So the tie was in my very first match. And I had actually no prior experience with this deck, so I was still trying to learn it a little bit. That matchup was against a Zamasu leader in deck, and that was actually also the first time I had played against that leader in that deck. So I lost the first match because I kind of didn't know what to expect, and he dropped like the 10-drop Zamasu, and if you guys know about that card, when they pop that out, it's kind of hard to deal with, right? The second match I knew what to expect. I won that match, but we hit time, so we couldn't play a third game to do the tiebreaker to see if I could potentially get that other match won. But nonetheless, I did win the next couple of matchups. So my second matchup was actually a mirror match, so that was pretty funny. Almost identical, and it was basically a mirror match. The final match was against that vaunted Caulifla Ginyu Force deck, and boy, was that deck hard to deal with. The final match that I won, and basically the final match that we played, was against that deck. So no losses technically, but we did get that tie and 2 wins. So basically 2.5 points or whatever, while there were a couple other people that had 3 for full wins, no losses. So unfortunate, but I did enjoy the deck, and I do want to share it with you guys. Anyways, hope you enjoy. If you are new, hit that subscribe button for your boy, and let me know in the comments what you guys think about the deck. I do want to kind of fine tweak it a little bit. It's just kind of like there's not anything I really want to take out, but I feel like I need to tweak it. You know that feeling? So anyways, like I said, oopsie. So we're going to go over the deck. But yes, leader, SSJ3 GOKU, he's awesome. So long story short, Unawakened, he is able to drop 1 card from your hand, and then pull 2 from your life, put them as energy. Now, once or twice, I got unlucky and I dropped a blue card in there, which isn't the end of the world. What really is bad is when you drop like double like blue or blue red or blue black, but you really want to ideally get 2 yellow cards there. So every so often that does happen with this guy, but otherwise he's incredibly good, incredibly fast. Awakened side, he is able to draw a card when he attacks, and then at the end of your turn, you are able to switch 3 of your energy back to active. So it's very good defensively. So that's the leader I use, one of the better leaders, if not the best leader currently in the meta. So let's go ahead and go into the deck. So first and foremost, what I did do was I used 4 Senzu Beans. Well, I did do that, but we'll get to that. I'm thinking of blue, I'm thinking of untap, I'm thinking of Senzu Beans, baby. But no, 4 Planet Vegeta. So this card is really good because it basically fishes out all your combo pieces in the deck, barring like maybe the 1 or 2 cards, give or take. It's able to pull out just about everything that you would need, depending on the situation that you would need it. It's a very good turn 1 play as well, and it's just one of the best cards in the game, in my opinion, as far as like an extra card, as far as being a card that can be played on turn 1 and give you a nice advantage, especially because, like I said, you pull anything you want from your deck, basically. And also on top of that, this card is the main card in the deck because it allows your apes to attack on your turn and then untap so they can block on the opponent's turn. And I'll talk about that in just a minute, but that is incredibly impactful. So yeah, 4 of those, definitely need 4 of those. That's not going anywhere. That's a given. So next up, we did play 4 Youthful Bomas. Now, Youthful Boma is just another turn 1 player. You get to draw a card. Very, very vanilla. Very, very self-explanatory. She doesn't have very much battle power, so you're not ever really going to attack with her. 1,000 just simply is not enough. Otherwise, she has a nice 5,000 combo power if you do want to combo her off the board or whatever. So very self-explanatory. Now, throughout the midst of the tournament, I thought, and I was in a hurry, I thought I had 4, but I actually only had 3 in the deck. But you ideally would like 4 March of the Great Apes. And the reason behind this is because consistency. Like, it's nice to be able to get the card pieces that you need quicker. And I can find myself sometimes just cycling through the deck quicker, in hopes of getting this card, like using all of my pieces to draw, to pull from life, to do just different things in hopes of finding this card. And with 3, sure, you can still get done what you need to get done, but it's a lot more consistent having that extra one in there. And of course, you can charge it from there if you don't need the extra copies anymore. At most, I ever really played 2. I just don't think that there's enough cards in the deck or any necessity of playing beyond 2, basically. So that's my thoughts on that card. Another card that is a staple. You definitely need it. So we did have 3 copies of No Opening Son Goku. This card is a card that can be splashed in a lot of decks, and people are still kind of confused in the ruling for this card. Here's the deal. And this applies to my deck, My Leader. Basically, the ruling on this card is he can, like I said, be in any deck if you would like him to be. He is a 10,000 combo. You know, later on in the game when you have King Vegeta on the board, he's a free combo technically, but what he does is if your leader is yellow, he gets played. But then he has a period, and then it says, then choose up to 1 card from your life and add it to your hand. Now, I blame the fault of these cards because the way that they're translated, the way that their text is written, it seems like this card would need to be in a yellow deck to get that first part of the effect, which is true, and the second part. The second part is you pull a card from your life and add it to your hand, so it's good for Self-Awakening and card advantage in hand. That's not actually the case. I'm sorry that these are kind of glary, too. They're double sleeves, and the double sleeves are really not helping. But yeah, so that's not really the case. He can be in any deck, and he'll just pull from life. He will not get played. He'll pull from life. That is the official ruling on this card. So if you didn't know, you're confused about that, that is how that works. But let's go ahead and get into the main engine, the main spice of the deck. We have 4. You got to run 4. So we have 4 copies of Bardock, Will of Iron. Now, he has an auto effect that basically never gets used, but nonetheless, 20k, double strike, blocker, Great Ape, 4 energy. The reason why the 4 energy is important because you can use Planet Vegeta to pull him if you would like to, which helps in terms of building your hand so you can go ahead and use March. It's also important because March requires them to be level 4 or less. So yeah, that helps. He's awesome. Incredible. And in my mirror match, I will say this card was the biggest reason I won, simply because my opposition was using Tora instead. And Tora is probably the next best ape if you don't have him, but Tora's not good enough in a mirror match because the double strike is significant. And like I was saying earlier, the ability to swing and then at the end of your turn pop back to active is very, very important. So that's how that works out for him. So next, we have 4 copies of Great Ape Prince Vegeta. This is the draft pack, or dash pack, excuse me, promo. So he's awesome. He has an auto effect that lets you pull top 3 cards from your deck, add a card to your hand if you would like to, a Great Ape card, at the expense of dropping 1 from your hand as well if you would like to do that. It's cool. I use that. I use this to win my final match against Caulifla because that one was a little wonky. I needed like 10k more power to guarantee I win that game. And so I used his effect. I played him, got lucky, top decked another ape. I think it was a King Vegeta or something. And I dropped a Senzu Bean because it doesn't have to be a yellow card that you drop from your hand. And I basically replaced Senzu Bean with another 5k card, which is all I needed to win that game. And that's how that worked out for him. I had to read this card a few times, but if you're not familiar with it, it says basically look it up to the top 3 cards in your deck, choose 1 Great Ape and add it to your hand. If you do so, place 1 card from your hand in the drop area, then shuffle your deck. So yes, another thing a few people were confused about a little bit was that the other couple of cards go back to your deck, the ones that you don't choose. So yeah, so next thing that we have is we have 3 copies of the Great Ape King Vegeta. You definitely need this guy. He is the main engine for this deck as well. Him and the regular King Vegeta we're going to look at in just a moment. They're the main cards in this deck simply because they make everything happen. He gives all your other cards barrier, all your other Great Ape cards barrier. He also from there, all yellow Saiyans in your battle area get barrier. So yes, technically if I had the No Opening Son Goku out there, he would have barrier and stuff like that. But nonetheless, he does that. He evolves for 3 energy on top of the other King Vegeta that we're going to look at momentarily. And then on top of that, reduces the combo cost of all Saiyans in your hand by 1, which is why I was saying, you know, certain cards can be ridiculously good, like No Opening Son Goku. He also has a double strike 25k threat. So yeah, he's pretty hard to get over. He doesn't have blocker though, I will say that. He's one of the, like the only apes that doesn't have blocker, one of them. So, you know, if you're in a position where you need the defense, you can't rely on him for that. We do have 4 copies of Lord of Great Apes King Vegeta. First and foremost because he's evolved food right there for this guy. But secondly because when you play him, you get to pull any Great Ape with an energy cost of 5 or less from your deck and add it to your hand. So again, part of building for that March, you know, stuff like that. Very good thinning. And also I have 4 just for consistency, and also you can charge them if you would like to. Then at the very least, it is an early game combo piece with the 5k. We had actually 4 copies of Flying Nimbus. Flying Nimbus was insane. This card saved me tremendously. Like, this card is so good. It is so good. I never really use yellow too much to know, but I know from experience against Flying Nimbus how annoying this card is. And here's the deal. In my matchup against Ginyu, the Ginyu Caulifla deck is so insane at putting board threats out there. There were so many little guys, like so many 1s and 2s and 3 drops, all Ginyu Force, just all out there, all Frieza, sorbets and stuff. I'm like, bro, seriously. At one point, there was like 8, blockers and stuff. And then he pops out the 6-play Ginyu, 6-turn Ginyu or whatever. And then they all get incredibly powerful. It's a nightmare. That deck is a nightmare. But this card almost single-handedly made me survive. This in conjunction with my blockers, my 8 blockers, was enough. Like, there was no way to get around it. We also were playing at time in our final match, so we started the turn count, and basically we were going 0 turn, 1 turn, 2 turn, 3 turn. So he had a chance to win on his last turn before time was up, but this card won me the match. The ability to stop more than a second attack is insane, man, especially against people that have incredibly high board presence. So yeah, that card is definitely a 4 of in my mind, like at least a 3. And just, I will almost always have 4 just because of the way that it worked here. But that's it for the yellow engine. The rest is kind of compulsory cards, blue, black, and red. So I ran 2 of these. I initially had 4 in my initial draft, but I ran 2 copies of Raging Spirit Son Gohan. He's cool. You get to play him. He's an extra 15k body that can be used offensively. He's also a nice 10k combo if you do need the additional power for whatever reason. Otherwise, I just kind of was like, He's a lot better in theory. Like, I can understand running 4, and I understand why people would and do run 4 in a deck like this. Just to me, it just felt like, 4 was kind of unnecessary. I wanted to play more. I actually sideboarded the others, but, I couldn't do it. Like, at times, I just didn't want to flip 2, and that's the main issue with this guy, is you really want to make sure that you run the right colors and the right ratios of colors, just so you don't flip in the turn 1 the wrong colors to begin, because getting double blue to start, it's not so good, because then your whole turn 1 plays, all the turn 1 plays require at least 1 yellow energy, so it's not that good for me. So yeah, I wanted to run more. Nothing wrong with the card. I just didn't like, first and foremost, that he was a blue card, and secondly, that he wasn't really adding a whole lot to what I wanted to do. That's just kind of how it was. It's totally up to preference as far as he's concerned, though. But we did have 4 Senzu Beans, like I was saying earlier. This card is incredibly helpful, especially for the untap. This, with the Goku, allows me to basically tap out as much as I want to, as long as I keep 1 blue energy active. So all you ever need to do in this deck is charge at maximum 1 blue energy. If you charge 1 blue energy, all your cards are live forever. So that's one of the things that I try to make sure to do, is once I got to a point where I had enough yellow cards charged, to start charging blue. And 1 card at least, one of these Senzu Beans can be specifically designated to be charged, and then you're good to go. And you really don't have to deal with a lot of the issues that would come alongside. Maybe you're not able to untap because you can't flip your Goku leader over because you're being stalled or whatever. It just helps. And also, it gives your apes that additional 5k, and 25k is hard to deal with at almost any stage of the game, especially them being early drops. You drop 2 at once with the March. It's just a really good card. It really is. And also, this Goku, he taps out easy. Like, he taps out easy simply because he can't hold more than 6 if the game even needs to get that long. But also because playing your bigger cards like March, again, tap him out, and he can't do things like Frieza could do, where he's able to play around the tapped out. Like, Frieza was like, oh yeah, and Frieza still is like, oh yeah, I can play cards if I want to, but Goku can't necessarily do that until he flips over, and Senzu Bean helps sustain. So anyways, we have 4 copies of Boost Attack Piccolo. You can totally switch this out for the Kibito Kai if you would like to. Between the two, it's just a matter of preference. Some people like the built-in Jocko. I prefer the more consistency. So yeah, there's that. Also, we had 4 copies of Unbreakable Super Saiyan Son Goku. This card is about the most splashable card in the game right now. He's an incredibly powerful, basically duplicate super combo. 10k draw 1, awesome card. I've been using him since he came out, and it's nice to see more and more people starting to respect this card and basically use him in almost every single draft that every single deck build draft that they have. So awesome card. And for the last slot, I had 2 copies of this Trunks, Power Overseeing Time. The ability to use him and pull back a card like this, or my Super Combo Piccolo, whatever, it's insanely helpful. But otherwise, I didn't really use that ability too much. Other than him being a 20k double striker, he wasn't like crazy necessary. But it's nice, like I said, to get that draw, get that 10k combo back, whatever you want. You can also get back a piece for an ape. There were times where I had to, you know, maybe get a piece for an ape and then go into a march after that, and he helps. He requires 2 energy, which is unfortunate, but still very helpful card. So for sideboard, I actually didn't bring much. I did bring 2 Time Patrol Trunks to swap him out with if I wanted to. Time Patrol Trunks is really good for the ability to cycle through deck. You know, very good for consistency. That's why he's on my sideboard. I did actually swap them out every now and again. Like I said, well, there's supposed to be another one here, but it isn't. But also, other than that, I ran these 4 in my sideboard. Every now and again, I would drop the 2 copies of these and swap in 2 Whis' Coercion just for a little bit more defense if I needed it. Because sometimes it feels like the Ape deck, the Ape Goku deck, just is kind of slow, needs to stall a couple of turns before it really gets going. It really isn't explosive until turn 4-ish, and then it starts going, especially depending on if you're awakened or not. So that's something I wanted to kind of point out to you guys. Anyways, hope you enjoyed. If you did, make sure you guys hit that subscribe button. Let me know your thoughts down below in the comments and any deck you guys are playing. Have an awesome day, and take it easy.